How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the That's Debatable podcast. I'm your host, Josh, and I hope you guys had a wonderful weekend. Facebook is being a little slow, but hopefully, you guys had a wonderful weekend. Hopefully, you guys are having a good Monday so far, and if you are not, well, this is just the right place for you. Quickly before we get into this pretty long podcast that we got a lot of stuff to get into today. Um, Kyrie and the Nets, all of that stuff. We got some football to get into as well. Before we get into that, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook if you aren't already. Turn post notifications on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. All of that good stuff. So yes, quick self promotion there. But let's get into the first question of the day. So Russell Wilson is apparently having a bit of troubles in Seattle. So should Russell Wilson want to play for the Seahawks? And I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say he shouldn't want to play for the Seahawks. And because you look at the situation Russell Wilson is in, this is a guy who's carried this franchise for about 5 years now. He's carried this franchise for a while. He's been to two Super Bowls. He's a champion. Right? We know all of this, but your offensive line is terrible. Your defense isn't that good. Sorry if you can hear the wind. It's really windy over here. But their defense is terrible. Their offensive line isn't that good, and he still manages to carry them. This guy has been sacked over 300 times. Over 300 times, Russell Wilson has been sacked and hit. Right, so he's actually been hit over, I believe, 500 times, but he's been sacked about 300. He's been sacked quite a few times, and that's just this season. It's just this season that he's been hit that many times. So that goes to show you. So back to my point, why he should not want to play for Seattle. It's because this coaching staff, the GMs, all of this stuff is not treating him right. So in that case, I don't want to be playing for a franchise that isn't treating me right, and we're gonna get into that later as well. But I don't want to be playing and I have so much respect for Russell Wilson. So I respect for the Seahawks organization as well. I love the Seahawks guys over there. I love the guys in Seattle. I love how the two managers, the two mayors actually of Seattle and I believe New Orleans were going at it. So that was pretty funny to me. But back to football, I think Russell Wilson shouldn't want to play there just because of how he gets treated sometimes and the way that he's carried this franchise for 5 years and is still not getting treated that well. I think he should want to leave Seattle, and I think he should get out of there. And I know, out of all people, you guys probably don't want to hear this from me, but I think that Russell Wilson should go to the Cowboys. And before you guys say anything, I say the Cowboys because the Cowboys haven't been relevant for a quarter century. They haven't been relevant for that long. However, they still managed to, they still managed to stay relevant media wise. They haven't been relevant football wise in a quarter century, but media wise, they still managed to stay relevant because of their annoying fans, right? So, I think that if Russell Wilson were to go to Dallas, sorry, my brain's not functioning properly today. If he were to go to the Dallas Cowboys, I think that would be a good move for him. Not only because the media capacity, because he has those fans, and once you're a Dallas Cowboy, those fans will be behind you. As much as I hate to say it and how annoying they are, they will be behind him, and they will support him if he goes there. And Russell Wilson is a great talent. Now, I know the Dallas Cowboys don't have that good of an offensive line either, but they still got guys like Ezekiel Elliott and all that stuff, and especially with Dak Prescott, who may be out of a contract very soon. I know they franchise tagged him, and it'll go until, I believe they said April or May or something along those lines. But I think Russell Wilson should really consider the Cowboys. I think the teams that he considered were the Cowboys, the Bears, the Saints, and one other team. I can't remember what it was. But I think that he should want to go to the Dallas Cowboys. And I know you guys probably don't want to hear that from me, but it's true. I think the Dallas Cowboys would be a good fit for Russell Wilson. And because Seattle's not treating him well. So, yes, he should want to leave the Seattle Seahawks. So, the Golden State Warriors lost to the Los Angeles Lakers last night. Excuse me. Will the Warriors make the league pay when Klay Thompson comes back? Yes, without a question. Without question, they will make the league pay because let's get something straight. This is the best. You guys heard me say this a dozen times. This is the best shooting backcourt. Steph Curry and Klay Thompson are the best shooting backcourt known to man. No other backcourt is better than this. I don't care who you give me. It doesn't matter who you give me. I don't care if you give me Ron Harper and Michael Jordan. I don't care who it is. There is no better shooting backcourt than Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, and that's just facts. That's just true. And a lot of people can't disagree with me. Steph Curry is the best shooter we've ever seen. We've ever seen on this planet in the history of the NBA and the history of mankind. Klay Thompson, when healthy, is the second best shooter in the league. We all know that. This is a guy who I know who just tore his Achilles also, but doesn't have to rely on athleticism. He's a spot-up shooter, right? So that doesn't really affect him. Obviously, it might affect him moving up and down the court a bit, but, he still can spot-up shoot. You also got guys like, especially if you manage to keep a Kelly Oubre, Andrew Wiggins, Pascal, Draymond Green, James Wiseman, who is a stud. James Wiseman can play. Do not get me wrong. This is a kid who is not an Andrew Bogut or a Zaza Pachulia. This is James Wiseman, a kid who can actually play, and that's no shade to Zaza Pachulia or Andrew Bogut because obviously those guys can play, but James Wiseman is different. James Wiseman is a young kid that is coming up in the league, and he's coming up fast. The kid can play, and the kid can ball, right? So I'm not worried about James Wiseman at all. I think this team has a bright future once Klay Thompson comes back, and I think that they will make the league pay once Klay Thompson comes back, it's over. I think they reached the conference finals at minimum. At minimum, sorry, the Golden State Warriors reached the conference finals, with Klay Thompson back, that is, of course. So yes, I think that they will make the league pay once Klay Thompson comes back. Should the Saints want Drew Brees back? So this question came about when Drew Brees, I believe it was him who released a video of him working out. Wow, my brain is not functioning properly today. He released a video of him working out, and people were like, "Oh, I thought he was gonna retire," all that stuff. So should the Saints want Drew Brees back? I'll say so. Some people were saying he doesn't have another Super Bowl in him. I know I did say that a couple times, but I'm not gonna go as far to say as they won't even make the playoffs because I've heard some people say that. Believe it or not, Drew Brees is a phenomenal talent. This guy is one of the greatest quarterbacks we've seen. Obviously, he's not better than Tom Brady. Tom Brady proved that to him, right? I don't even think he's better than Aaron Rodgers, right? But he is one of the best, maybe probably a top 5 quarterback of all time. But I think that he still has some left in him. We're seeing it in the workout videos. Drew Brees is 42 years of age. He has a wonderful family. He has a whole family that he has at home. But he loves the game of football. We've seen him, make sacrifices. We've seen him during this pandemic, not only him, but like other athletes making sacrifices, right? But we know how much he loves this game. We know how much he'll put into this game. And if he can play, he'll play another season. And I think he will. I think the Saints should want Drew Brees back, but they should be planning ahead. Now, I'm not going to say 100% bring Drew Brees back because I am concerned for his health. But if you have the chance, bring Drew Brees back. Bring him back. But here's why I'm not 100% sure. Here's why I'm not, fully on, bringing him back. It's because of that rib injury. That rib injury that occurred earlier in the season was bad. It was bad. I believe he had to get I forgot what it was now. It was a few weeks ago now, a few months ago now, a couple months. But it was a bad rib injury. We remember it. It went, I believe, all the way to his back as well. It was connected to his back because obviously, your rib is connected to your back, all of that stuff. So it was a bad injury. So I am very scared for Drew Brees because you got young bulls coming into the league. And, every year you got young bulls coming into the league, deep defenders they're going to be coming after you. Their target is you, the quarterback, right? So you got guys like that running full speed, hitting you, and where are they trained to hit? They're trained to hit the ribs, right? You obviously can't hit the head because that's illegal. They're trained to hit the ribs. So you take all of that in account, and you got to be worried about Drew Brees coming back. I would love to see Drew Brees another season. I love watching Drew Brees play, but you have to also take in consideration his health. The guy's 42 years old, like I mentioned, right? So he can't play like how he was when he was 27, right? Then nobody's like that. Obviously, I mean, Tom Brady's kind of proving that wrong, but there's not a lot of people on this earth that can play at that level at his age, especially with an injury that he occurred early in the season. So I am worried about Drew Brees, about that rib injury, because man, that young bulls are going to be coming at you, and they're going to show no mercy. If they're trying to win, they will show no mercy, and I've been there, done that, right? Wrestling tournaments, all this stuff. When I'm trying to win, I show no mercy, right? So, and that's how these young bulls are going to be in these games. So I am worried about Drew Brees, but I think if you have the chance to bring him back, if you're very confident that you can step back out on that field, then go for it. I don't mind seeing Drew Brees play another season. I really don't. I could watch him play till he's 50. I mean, I highly doubt he's gonna do that. I still have a feeling he might retire, but I think he might have done it by now. But yeah, I think that Drew Brees, he could have another season in him. I think he does have another season in him, but he does have to be careful because I am worried about Drew Brees. He's one of my favorite players to watch, and the last thing I would want for Drew Brees and his family, all of that stuff, is for him to get hurt. So, yeah, I don't want to see that, but I am concerned for his health, but I would love to see him come back if he can. So now we're taking a break from basketball, football. So right now we're gonna be looking at WWE, AEW, all that wrestling in general. So we're gonna be going through last week. Tonight's Monday Night Raw. Bobby Lashley defends The Miz defends his WWE title against Bobby Lashley on Raw tonight. So I'm gonna be going through last week of wrestling. So I didn't watch NXT. I believe, yeah, I didn't watch NXT last week, but I will be going through a bit of AEW, and I was kind of multitasking as well. I was doing other stuff on my computer and stuff while watching AEW, but I'm gonna covering Raw and SmackDown like I do every week. So Raw, it was pretty decent. I'm not gonna lie, not the greatest show, but like I mentioned, after Elimination Chamber, I didn't expect the Drew McIntyre to win his title back from the Miz just like that, because that storyline would just make no sense. I would expect, now that they threw Bobby Lashley into the title picture, that it would probably be him to take the title away. And I did mention that I think the Miz is going to lose his title within the next couple of weeks, or at the max, fast lane. I think he'll lose it if you're not in the next couple of weeks. And now he's defending his title against Bobby Lashley tonight, which I think he will lose. I think Bobby Lashley wins the title tonight, and they go somewhere with him and Drew McIntyre at Fastlane. Like I said, I don't want to see that at WrestleMania because, we've seen that already. But yeah, I don't know what they're going to do here. It kind of confused me when Miz did cash in at Elimination Chamber. It's still kind of confusing because I'm not sure where they're going to go with the storyline. However, it's WWE. They tend to confuse you a lot. So that's what they do. But yeah, Raw was pretty decent. Other than that, we had a couple decent matches. Don't have it all in front of me right now, but had a couple decent matches. But the story of Raw was Bobby Lashley and The Miz, and now they're fighting tonight for the WWE title. Part of me feels like there's going to be interference by Drew McIntyre or something. Probably, for the sake of my prediction, I hope Bobby Lashley wins tonight, because that's my prediction, that Bobby Lashley wins the title tonight. Because, The Miz as champion, I mean, sure, I mean, he's fine, but, I don't know if I want to see that. right now. Obviously, it had to come at some point, but I think Elimination Chamber wasn't the time for him to cash in. I think he could have done it later. But yeah, anyway, I think Bobby Lashley wins tonight. But yeah, Raw last week was pretty good. Now we move on to AEW. See, now, like I mentioned, it wasn't, I wasn't fully paying attention and covering it, but I will this week though for sure. Actually, I think I'm covering NXT this week. So yeah, every week it changes. So one week I'll cover NXT, next week I'll cover AEW. Just because I don't have anyone else to cover like the other show for me. So I'll be doing each week. So this week AEW not bad, not a bad show. AEW knows how to put on a show. Obviously we saw, I believe it started off with John Moxley opening the show. So all that stuff. So pretty decent show. Nothing to complain about. Yeah, there's nothing really to complain about. But based off what I saw, nothing to complain about. We do know that Shaquille O'Neal will be competing in AEW. Shaquille O'Neal will be competing. I think I'm not sure if it's confirmed actually. They said it was confirmed on AEW on Wednesday. So that I did see. But I don't know. They're bringing all these celebrities and stuff into wrestling now. So, I mean, I guess it's a way to bring up ratings and all that stuff. Now, moving on to SmackDown. SmackDown was pretty interesting as well. You had Roman Reigns coming out. I believe the main event was Jey Uso and Daniel Bryan. And if Bryan won, he gets to go to Fastlane. Can't remember currently who won that match. I will go back on it though. But yeah, I lost my nose for SmackDown. But yeah, anyway, guys, like it was a pretty good show. Like wrestling last week was decent. It wasn't amazing, but it wasn't terrible either. It was pretty decent. It wasn't bad. But yeah, that's gonna wrap up the wrestling week review. So now onto some more football. So who has the biggest beef with his team? Is it Dak Prescott, Deshaun Watson, or Russell Wilson? Now, I'm going to go with Deshaun Watson because Deshaun Watson has been having problems with the Houston Texans because Deshaun Watson, it all started when they traded away DeAndre Hopkins. And not only was that Deshaun Watson's brother on and off the field, his friend, his brother, his teammate, they had so much chemistry. Not only that, but the fact that they didn't let Deshaun Watson know that they were trading his best friend. They traded DeAndre Hopkins without letting him know. So that was the first thing. And then they made all these other decisions without letting him know as well. So Deshaun Watson's like, wait, I'm the star of this team. I'm the quarterback. I'm the QB1. Why am I not in on these decisions? Why am I not hearing about this? Why didn't I hear about DeAndre Hopkins getting traded? Why didn't I hear about these new GMs coming in? All of this stuff, right? So Deshaun Watson is confused. Deshaun Watson has been mad at the Houston Texans. He's been wanting to leave, right? And I don't blame him. Houston seems to have a lot of problems, no pun intended. But the fact is that Deshaun Watson is having the biggest beef with his team because he's been having it for a while. He's had this beef for a while, and he hasn't been able to, get out of Houston. And you see Russell Wilson, he's having beef with his team as well. Obviously, we know that. That's why he's in this question. However, I don't think it's as big as beef with, how Deshaun Watson is having because he didn't have his best friend traded away. Right, he still has DK Metcalf. He still has Tyler Lockett. He just doesn't have a good offensive line and it doesn't have a good defense to back him up. Right, and obviously the the GMs and all the stuff, they're treating him like crap. I get that, and but it isn't compared to Deshaun Watson's situation. Now you look at Dak Prescott. I think Dak Prescott, is a bit closer to the situation, but still not the same. Because I think it really means a lot to Deshaun Watson that, it really was, as soon as I heard DeAndre Hopkins got traded, I was confused at first. But then when I found out that Deshaun Watson didn't even know, I'm like, he's gone. He's gone because that was his brother. That was his friend, right? So, and Dak Prescott's situation, it's bad. Obviously, Jerry Jones, sometimes can be stubborn and all of that stuff. We know this. But, like I said, it doesn't compare to Deshaun Watson's situation. I think that Dak Prescott, he's going to be out of Dallas soon. But in Deshaun Watson's case, The Houston Texans don't want to trade him. It doesn't look like they want to trade him, and that is a big, big problem. And whether when you see Russell Wilson or Dak Prescott, they are they're looking at opportunities to trade him and all that stuff. The Houston Texans are not. Obviously they looked at Miami. They looked at a couple options, but they don't want to do it. They're hesitant to do it because they're like, if we trade away Deshaun Watson, we're done. We're over with. We just lost J.J. Watt to the Cardinals, which I'll get into tomorrow because we got a lot of stuff to get into today. But we just lost J.J. Watt now. Now Deshaun Watson wants out. Well, Watson wanted out before J.J. Watt, and J.J. Watt requested. But now, especially that J.J. Watt is gone, now especially that J.J. Watt is with Kyler Murray, he's gonna, the Houston Texans are refusing to trade him. I ensure you, like I promise you, that's what's going on in the Houston Texans, front office. That is what's going on. Is that they don't want to trade Deshaun Watson. And I'm like, why would you? He's your star quarterback, right? But he's not happy. For the sake of his happiness, trade him. Because it's not working out for you, clearly. It's not working out for Deshaun Watson. And hell, I wouldn't be surprised if Deshaun Watson pulled a James Harden to get out of Houston. So I think Houston really does have a problem. And I think the player that has the biggest beef with their franchise is Deshaun Watson. So the New York Knicks, I said I gotta see it to believe it, and they're the fourth seed. Are the New York Knicks back? I'm not gonna say that yet. Not gonna say that yet. I'm not gonna say that they're back because I know they have a better record than the Raptors. They have a better record than the Celtics. They're in the fourth seed, right? So they're the fourth seed in the Eastern Conference, right? They're just behind the Sixers, the Nets, and the Bucks. That is insane to think of. That the New York Knicks, the team that we were just making fun of last year, and even up until this year, that they didn't get the draft pick, that, the Knicks are, still another sucky team. But now they're the 14 in the Eastern Conference. Everybody shut up. Everybody is like, shut up. And especially when they got Derrick Rose, I've been saying this, that the New York Knicks needed a point guard, right? I said that they should have drafted a point guard in the draft. I said it on my Instagram story. I said it everywhere. I said it on the podcast, everywhere. I said that they should have drafted a point guard. I like Obi Toppin. I really, really do. But at that time I thought, man, the New York Knicks are just going to have another sucky year. But little did I know, Julius Randle was going to show up. The brother is playing amazing. I think this guy is capable could have been an all-star, arguably. RJ Barrett is coming out of his shell, right? You have guys like Mitchell Robinson, who is out right now, but wait till he comes back, right? You have all of these guys contributing, Derrick Rose especially contributing, that veteran leadership that the New York Knicks need, that this young New York Knicks team needs, right? They still have Austin Rivers, I'm pretty sure, right? So obviously he's not the starting point guard, but you still got guys like Obi Toppin, RJ Barrett, Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson, right? All of these guys, and they're all contributing. And the one thing that stands out about this team, and the reason they are doing so good, is that they play defense. That is something I am big on, because if you're not putting effort on the defense, putting effort in on the defensive end, then you are not going to go anywhere. I don't care how lights out your offense is, it's going to be hard to play. Obviously the Nets are kind of proving that wrong, but for most teams, if you don't play defense, if you don't put in effort on the defensive end, this is something I mentioned last week with the Lakers when they were on the losing streak. I said most of defense just takes effort. Defense takes effort, and if you're not putting in that effort, you're not going to win. The New York Knicks are a fighting team. They put in that effort and they play defense, and that's why they are playing so well right now. So I'm not gonna go as far as to say the New York Knicks are back. They're gonna go to the finals. All that stuff. I'm not gonna be one of those guys, right? I'm not even a Knicks fan, right? But so I'm not gonna go that far. They definitely can make the playoffs for sure. And I think that it really does suck that they don't have fans in attendance, because Madison Square Garden, one of the loudest arenas when fans are allowed in, and that's what I'm getting to. If they got out of the first round, in the playoffs, and they were allowed having people, I know they have some people, but not like a full packed arena, right? And I'm not saying that they should do that, but imagine if they had a full packed arena and the New York Knicks get out of the first round. New York City, Madison Square Garden will go insane. The place will erupt. I bet they're erupting right now, celebrating that they're the fourth seed, because when was the last time the New York Knicks were the fourth seed, right? But imagine if they, let alone make the playoffs, they'll probably celebrate that. But if they get out of the first round, then because I believe that they play if they were to make the playoffs right now, if they were to the playoffs were to start today, they would play the Miami Heat, who have been on a winning streak. And mind you, ever since I called out the Miami Heat, they've been on a winning streak. So it's the power of Josh. But so I think that, if they were to get out of the first round, the place would erupt if they had fans. So that kind of sucks that they don't have fans in attendance. But yeah, I'm not gonna go as far as to say the New York Knicks are back. So my reaction to LeBron and Zlatan Ibrahimovic's beef, however you say his name. So this, if you guys don't know what happened, you must have been living on a rock, because it's on almost every sports page. But if you guys don't know what happened, Zlatan Ibrahimovic came out and said something like, just stick to sports, stop being a human activist, all of that stuff. Now, this is something to get into. I had to talk about this today. So my thoughts on this. Well, LeBron came back with a quote, and it was very humble the way he came back. So, do I love, like, or hate this comeback? I hate it. I can't stand with how LeBron came back, because he was too nice. Because the way Zlatan Ibrahimovic came at LeBron James is unacceptable. I can't stand the way he came at LeBron James for speaking out what he believes in, right? And mind you, Ibrahimovic, he doesn't, I don't even think he lives in the same country as LeBron James, right? I live in Canada, right? Obviously, I can't speak for Americans, right? But I know what goes on there. I know that they're dealing with social justice issues, political issues, all of this stuff, right? But here's the thing. Ibrahimovic had no place. He had no place in telling LeBron James what to do. Another athlete, right? A colored man, right? To telling him what to do. Right? He had no place in doing that. Right? So when you take all of this into consideration, the way Ibrahimovic came at LeBron James, it's unacceptable, because LeBron James is someone who uses his platform for good. He uses his platform. He's not one of these guys that uses his platform for something stupid. He uses his platform to speak out on issues, world issues going on around the world, in America, all of this stuff. He has the freedom. He has the right to do that. You can't tell another man, another athlete, that's an athlete, right? You're also an athlete, Ibrahimovic, right? You can't be telling another guy what to do and what not to do with his freedom, right? It shouldn't even bother you, right? What he does is his business, and what you do is your business, right? So you should have no place in telling him something like that, telling him, oh, stick to sports. It's pretty much telling him to shut up and dribble, right? That is pretty much what Zlatan Ibrahimovic said. That's pretty much what came out of his mouth, right? And LeBron James to say, oh, the way that LeBron James came back was too humble. I think he was too light on Ibrahimovic, and I think he should have came back, because the way Ibrahimovic came at LeBron James was unacceptable. I couldn't stand it, right? And when I heard LeBron James' response, I'm like, man, if that were me, LeBron James is such a humble guy to come back at like that, right? I respect him for that. I respect him for being humble, all of that stuff. But I know if that were a lot of people, if that were me, and I wouldn't take that kind of disrespect. A lot of people wouldn't take that kind of disrespect. So I think that, LeBron James is a guy who helps out his community, who helps out the youth, helps out seniors. He helps out everybody he can. He uses his platform for good, right? And to come at him the way he did is unacceptable, because this is a guy who spoke out on issues, who, is really helpful to communities, right? Kids look up to this guy for a reason, and it's not just because he plays basketball. It's because he's helpful to the youth. He helps kids out, right? when he can, he's at almost every one of his son's basketball game. Why is that? It's not just because it's a chore for him. It's because he wants to be there. It's because he knows in America one of the biggest issues is in the world, one of the biggest, but in America especially, one of the biggest issues is father absence, right? So he knows that, and look, he's making a change. He's making a change. Guys like LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, all of these guys, Vince Carter, make a change, right? So you take all of that into account, and the way that LeBron James uses his platform for good, right? The way Latin, or however you pronounce his name, the way he came at him was completely disrespectful. I did not like it at all, and I didn't like LeBron James' response. I'm a huge LeBron James fan. You guys know this, but I didn't like his response at all. I think he should have been more aggressive towards Ibrahimovic. I know it could have turned into a screaming contest, all of that stuff, but I don't like it. I didn't like the way Ibrahimovic came at LeBron James and disrespected him the way that he did. It was completely and utter disrespectful, and I think I'm gonna go as far to say Zlatan should have apologized, because you shouldn't have any business in looking at what another man is doing, right? You shouldn't have any business doing that. What LeBron James does is his business. Whatever you do is your business, right? Like I mentioned earlier in this discussion, right? So, to come at another guy like that, a guy who's spoken out on, social justice issues, political issues, right? Someone who's standing up for it, right? All of this stuff. He's standing up for issues that are going around the world. He's trying to actually make a change, right? So to tell him to just shut up and dribble, or to shut up and just stick to sports, is disrespectful, because this is a guy who's making a change. This is a guy who's influenced, other NBA dads to go to every one of their sons' NBA or his daughter's NBA game, right? Guys like Kobe Bryant, Vince Carter, LeBron, Dwayne Wade, all of these guys, right? You see them, they're making a change. They're trying to make a change. And so the way Zlatan came at LeBron James was disrespectful. I didn't like it at all. And the way that LeBron James responds was way too nice. I think he was way too humble. And like I said, I respect him for that. But the way Zlatan came at LeBron James should have been a little more aggressive towards Ibrahimovic. So, yeah, that's all I'm gonna say for that. But he should have no business in telling LeBron James what to do. So, yeah, I had to go on a long rant there. So, yeah, but I just didn't like the way Ibrahimovic came at him. What is the biggest concern with the Brooklyn Nets right now? Um, to be honest, it's Kyrie Irving. The biggest concern is Kyrie Irving. And I say Kyrie Irving, it's because the guy's missed 11 games already. Because knowing that Kevin Durant is out, I would think you would want to be there with James Harden. Because I think I would believe that you would want to be there with James Harden now that Kevin Durant is out. And he's, I get Kevin Durant being out, but I don't get, Kyrie. I know he has the shoulder problem, but it doesn't matter. Like, you need to be there out with James Harden, right? You need to be playing these games. So, taking all that into consideration, Kyrie Irving missing games is big for the Brooklyn Nets, because last night we saw it. James Harden was out there by himself. If I was in Kyrie Irving's position, I would be like, okay, man, little shoulder cramp, it's fine, right? Lower my minutes, but I need to be out there with my teammate. I need to be out there with a guy who forced his way out of Houston, forced his way out of his old team to come to Brooklyn to play with us, to help us win a championship, right? So, I would think he would want to do that. But Kyrie Irving missing games is big for the Brooklyn Nets, and it's bigger than, some people are seeing. And we saw last night, people are like, oh, they just didn't have KD. No, they didn't have Kyrie. Yes, they didn't have KD, but they didn't have Kyrie. Because without KD, Kyrie and Harden were on an 8-game winning streak, if you guys didn't know. They were on an 8-game winning streak together without Kevin Durant. Kyrie sits out, they lose to the Mavericks, right? The Mavericks aren't a bad team, but I'm just saying that they lost without Kyrie and KD. And James Harden was out there by himself, who still played pretty well. But he can't do a lot by himself. So I think the biggest problem, the biggest concern with the Brooklyn Nets is Kyrie Irving. I think all three of these guys healthy, I don't think anybody can beat them unless Anthony Davis comes back healthy. So I think that is the biggest concern with the Brooklyn Nets. Um, next thing we're gonna discuss here, if you watch Riverdale and you haven't watched the newest episode yet and you don't want spoilers, I suggest not watching it. Watching this part, but so my thoughts on the latest episode of Riverdale. I was supposed to do this on Friday, and I think I forgot again. And if I didn't, I'm just gonna go over it again quickly. But pretty good episode. Not gonna lie. Pretty decent and pretty good scenes. The ending scene where there's a fire outside of, Archie's house, and Jughead yelled from downstairs, Archie, there's a fire. That was pretty cool. Obviously we know who did it because a couple scenes before that, they had Hiram Lodge and Reggie talking to each other, like, time to pay him a visit. I liked how, Archie paid Reggie a visit first. Reggie didn't deny, half burning the school down, burning a trash can, I believe his guys did. Um, it's cool that they brought the Bulldogs back. They brought the River Vixens back. Cheryl, I think, is gonna have more of a play in this somehow, because the Vixens are back, and then she was mad. So I think Cheryl will have a big play into this. I think her and Tony are gonna probably get back together and lead the Vixens together. I don't think they're gonna stay mad at each other. Um, in terms of Polly going missing, I think that they might find out what happens next episode. Because, and what's funny to me, when they picked up her bag and stuff, it was so funny because you're not supposed to pick it up barehanded. You're not supposed to pick up evidence barehanded. So that was pretty funny to me. You also have Jughead with the Mothman. Writing the book about the Mothman, all of that stuff. Though that's pretty cool as well. It was also pretty funny when he was like, Archie, you shouldn't be worried about talking to Veronica about sponsor. I just interviewed a guy who thinks aliens exist and are gonna and wants to be abducted by aliens. So it shouldn't be weird at all. I don't think I'm the only one who doesn't like Chad. Veronica's husband. I don't think I'm the only one. I think the divorce is coming soon. Chad is gonna work with Hiram Lodge, they're gonna cause some mayhem over there. But yeah, so I think that's what's gonna happen. I think I don't know. I don't think Reggie's gonna turn on Hiram Lodge. I just don't think that's gonna happen. But yeah, so that's pretty much my thoughts on Riverdale. Out of 10, I would give the episode probably about a six out of 10. So yeah, it wasn't a bad show at all. I like the show. Obviously, they have this thing with Archie and Betty going on as well. Just date, for crying out loud. Like, they have this thing going on for so long, they might as well just date for crying out loud. So, yeah, not a bad episode at all. So next we have All American. So this is the final topic. And if you watch All American, like I said with Riverdale, if you watch All American and you don't want spoilers, I suggest not watching it. Um, yeah, sure, I can get into that after. Um, All American. Last episode was pretty good. We had Spencer going back to his father's cabin. Just to get it, clear his mind, all that stuff. After telling Coop that he's the reason he got shot, he's the reason that he can't trust his own body, all of that stuff. Obviously he's seeing that therapist and all of that stuff. So he goes to his father's cabin. He tries to clear his mind, and he's about to leave, and then Layla, all those guys come. Vanessa, all of them, they come to the cabin to pay him a visit. And they're vibing, all of that stuff, and then they play, and then eventually they're playing a Never Have I Ever game, and it turns wild. It turns absolutely wild, and they start dissing each other and stuff. Fights happen, all that. Jordan and Simone end up making up in the car, not making out, making up in the car, on the way home. Layla, the episode ended with Layla asking Spencer the truth about what happened in Vegas. We don't even know that. All we knew was that Spencer, his arm gave out when he went to go grab the juice in the fridge. So we know that's what happened. But yeah, so we still don't know what happened in Vegas. We have to watch the episodes to keep on to find that out. But yeah, I think the show is pretty. I'll give this one as a 6 as well. You can't give it too high of a rating or too low of a rating because it was pretty decent, but you can't give it too high of a rating because you didn't see a lot, right? But yeah, The episode is pretty decent. So another episode comes out tonight. Not sure if I'll be watching it. I'll probably watch it tomorrow and cover it Wednesday, because I do have to cover Raw tonight. So yeah, but so I had a question in the chat. Thoughts on Jason Tatum last night? Um, he was pretty decent. I'm not sure the amount of points he dropped. But I know he did have a clutch game winner, and it was a pretty good game winner as well. Over Beal and Westbrook. The Celtics are a team that's been struggling lately. They've obviously been struggling. I believe they could go for, yeah, 31 last night. So they could still make the playoffs. Obviously, the New York Knicks are higher than them, so that is concerning still. But like I've mentioned before, this is a Brad Stevens issue. The way that the Celtics are playing, this is a Brad Stevens issue. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are studs. The kids can play. The guys can play. And they should be an over 500 team. They should have been playing like this from the start. And I don't even think that this game should have been that close with the Washington Wizards, who, yes, I know have been on a streak lately and have been scoring. And, I know Bradley Beal has been the scoring machine, but they have more firepower. Kemba Walker's starting to play good as well. I know he had a monster game last game they played. So Kemba Walker's starting to come back. So it's the power of my word. First the Miami Heat, when I called them out, they went on a winning streak, and I would call out Kemba Walker. He's starting to play good as well. So if you ever need me to call out your favorite player, just let me know. But in all seriousness, Celtics they seem like they're gonna start to play good now. But I don't want to jinx them. But they need to start playing way better than they are right now, because a close game with the Washington Wizards, with all due respect, is still unacceptable. They still have a lot of work to do. I know Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook are machines. I know they're a pretty good duo. But you still gotta play better. I watched the highlights, and they still got stuff to work on there. So yeah, I think that they need to work on stuff and all that stuff. Sorry if you can hear yelling in the background. But yeah, that's gonna wrap up the podcast for today. Thank you guys for tuning in. I told you guys it's gonna be a longer podcast today. So because we had a lot of stuff to talk about. My voice is going away as I'm talking. I don't know if you guys heard that. But yeah, I talk very fast, and it took me 42 minutes. That's insane. But anyway, I'll see you guys tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already, go ahead and subscribe. Turn post notifications on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. If you're not following me on Facebook and Instagram already, go ahead and follow me on those two social media platforms. I post on my YouTube as much as I can. I just uploaded a new video a day or two ago. I believe it was a reaction video, so go ahead and check that out. And I will be back here 4 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. I'm going to be covering Monday Night Raw tonight. So yeah, DM me any questions about WWE, any sports questions you have, and you can DM me throughout the week as well, and I can put them on Fan Friday, so I can answer them on Fan Friday as well. So yeah, see you guys tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern. Take it easy, y'all. Have a fabulous Monday, and I'll see you guys here tomorrow. Take it easy, y'all. Stay safe.